Hello and welcome back to our vernacular folk social traditional module. We ended our last lecture with TET number 7 that you can see on your screen right now. And I just want you to remember that this course is taking a case study approach, meaning we are looking at specific dance forms and the history, which is the collection of stories that relate to the social and political climate of a community and a dance form that evolved as a result of the things that were going on within that community. I also would like you to take this time to acknowledge that we all have a bank of knowledge and I'm sharing my experiences. But if for whatever reason, excuse me, you have insight into one of the forms or into one of the communities that are discussed within the course, please send me that information and so that it can benefit everyone in the class. This is a reminder slide that culture is defined as the customs, the beliefs, the arts, the social institutions, and the intellectual property of a group of people. And that group of people that share a commonality um, can be, their commonality can be where they live, their commonality can be a preferred activity, their commonality can be lineage. So there's different reasons why a group would come together. There are different reasons why a community would come together. For example, we'll continue to think about that. And interchangeably, these terms, social dance, vernacular dance, ethnic dance, cultural dance, and traditional dance, are used interchangeably. They all refer to a similar thing, and in my experience, it has been the difference between when the term is used depends on the perspective of the user, and it can also be the time in which the document, the artifact that you're viewing, was created. To go a little deeper into that, the term folk just translates to people. At the same time, there were times in Europe where the term folk was used as a term for othering, meaning it was used to separate. Specifically, it was used to separate classes. So there were the aristocrats, the upper social class of people, and folk at times was used to refer to the lower class citizens of the community. In addition to that, I want to add in, so we have this othering that's used by the term folk. For some communities, we have folk being used as a derogatory term to create othering, to create separation of classes. Darwin's theory of evolution um, states that, or perpetuates an idea of some people being less than. And as this theory that was used in the 19th and 20th centuries, as this theory came under scrutiny, the pushback was to leave the term folk behind and replace it with traditional, because people wanted to, the pushback was that, hey, no, people are people and people can be as great or as not great as they want to be. So let's lean into the word traditional when referring to these dance forms. So traditional began to replace the term folk. But then there was pushback from the term traditional. Traditional was seen as problematic in regards to when dances are placed onto a performance space. So traditionally, so I'm using this term traditionally, you're looking at the way, when the term traditional is used, it refers to the way that a group dances or moves. So if we put this into a real life situation, if there was some type of event and here in Indiana or in your hometown, someone turns on some music and people starts dancing, you are performing. What you're doing is the traditional dance forms of your community. No one is counting 5, 6, 7, 8, uh, unless it's a line dance. There is a certain level of natural decision of movement, i.e., improvisation. So the problem comes when you take those dances, those dance moves that you were doing, and put them on a performance stage. It changes a little in character. It changes a little bit in structure. In that now there's a certain level of planning that's happening. And people are considering where people are seated and what they can see. So it changes the structure and the performance of the movements. So is it still traditional? Is it still that natural way that you were dancing? Not exactly. This is that process of putting it onto the stage is called restaging. And because the dance forms needed to be restaged, they are not the same essence that they were. And therefore, the term traditional is seen as problematic. In the West African world, when dances are put into the performance venue, sometimes the term neo traditional is used. So vernacular and social dance forms have been a term that is used by some communities. Vernacular meaning language of, I like to think of it as the language of this community or group. And it is these dance forms when they are performed in their natural environment. So once again, when you take it out of its natural environment and restage it, it becomes something else. It's not vernacular and social anymore. It's more of a performative. You're looking at it through the lens of the performative space. So simply put, vernacular dance, social dance, uh, folk dances are the dance language of the people. To give you an example of that we all might be able to identify with, dance being this physical manifestation of a group of people. Here at Ball State, the mascot is a cardinal. At certain events, when there's cheering going on, people do this gesture, i.e., a dance, where they put their fingers together and they make kind of what looks like a OK symbol. And they lower and raise their elbow slightly, which gives a little bouncy element in the hand. And and sometimes they say chirp, chirp. So this gestural dance, is a physical manifestation of the community that we all are aligned with, Ball State community, Ball State culture. So dances develop naturally as a part of everyday culture, right? This chirp chirp dance is a thing that we do when at events, right? At sporting events, at things. It's a way to celebrate. It's a way to have some type of unison, some type of unification. With that being said, vernacular dances have the following characteristic. They're not owned by the institution. So what does that mean? That chirp chirp is Ball State, but does it mean that Ball State owns it? Is no one ever allowed to use it? Not exactly. Ball State doesn't own the dance. They're most often learned through observation and are not codified. Someone sees you do the chirp chirp, they can do it too. They learn how to do it. It's simple. They don't need a class. They don't need to pay you to teach them how to do it. Um, these can be danced by anyone. It's accessible. Same thing. No one needs to pay you for learning how to do this thing. There's no hierarchy on who holds the keys to the chirp chirp. These dances are usually done at social gatherings and not at religious ceremonies. The chirp chirp is not exactly reserved for Sunday mass, going to the mosque, going to the temple, sitting at your shrine, or anything else. And it's not choreographed, so it's not a sequence of movements. It's not necessarily planned out. Someone does it, people do it. This might be a little tricky. Vernacular dances can be found all over the world, but world dance forms are not always vernacular. Going back to that characteristic, vernacular dances are not religious dances. So if you take a dance like a dance like the Tarantella, which began as a medicine dance to help people as they were trying to heal themselves from a spider bite. It's a medicine dance, it's a religious dance. So it is a dance that is a world dance form because it is a dance that evolved outside of America, world being in this space being dances that are done in other parts of the world, but it is not it was not originally a social dance. At the bottom of this uh, page, you see some of the examples of dances given in your text. I'm not going to read them aloud because you've seen these dances before. Some of these dances are also on your resource page. So please view the resource page if you are like me and you are a visual learner, um, or you just, want something to look at. Many dances fall under the umbrella of social dance, vernacular dances, folk dances, traditional dances. It's not a universal genre, meaning there's not a set set technique to the dances. So in some places on the internet, I've seen things like social dances are animal dances and they are flat-footed and they have a shuffle and they have bent knees, and that's not true because that's not. I know dances that are not like that. I know social dances that are not like that. Um, and because it's such a large category, be such an umbrella of dances, I offer the World Dance Project as a way to further your knowledge of dance study. Another thing to consider is that people that are doing the dances don't necessarily consider themselves doing a cultural dance. We go back to the analogy of the chirp chirp. Did you think that it was a cultural dance before I explained it that way? Some of us will say no. Um, Similar to that, when here in America, our traditional dance forms, our folk dance forms, our vernacular dance forms are jazz and hip hop. Um, if you were doing hip hop or you were doing jazz, did you consider it a cultural dance form? Did you consider it folk dance? Well, someone outside of the US would consider it that because it is the way that the people in the US move. It is a dance form that was created in the US. Um, Also, these dances change as they evolve, as they're in places. Some themes are consistent around the world, but the way that they are practiced around the world might change. For example, you see the last bullet on the slide. It talks about the Medellin and how the version that is danced in Europe when compared to the version that is danced by the Yaqui Indian Society are different, right? So we have a dance with the same name, but its approach is different. Also similar with the Ingri, right, where some of the movements between Bamako and another part of Mali, Bamako and Wassalon, two regions of Mali, this dance has the same, a similar origin story, but the way that it will manifest will look slightly different. In your reading, there are a few functions of dance, of vernacular dances that are given, or purposes. I like to think of them as their purposes, their types, their function, in order for it to sit in my mind. They are courtship, work, war, and communal dances. I give you a few examples. Ones that are not included in your book are a concon as a work dance. It's a harvest dance coming out of the Casamance region of uh, Senegal. Casamance is, yeah, Casamance region of Senegal. And I think that's the only one. Okay, so yeah, a concon is the only one not included in your reading. Going back to that idea of inside versus outside, people in the thing might not consider that they're doing the thing because it's a part of their natural life. When you get up in the morning, you're not thinking, oh, I need to get up and place my foot on the floor about 6 inches, da 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 da, and step, do 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 do. And you're not. It's not broken down that way to you because you are living your natural life. But someone um, who has never experienced getting out of a bed, maybe they lay on the floor, I don't know, sleep in a tree. And for them to learn how to get out of a bed, they would need to analyze it in a different kind of way. It's not a part of their natural life, so their analyzation and their the way that they analyze the thing is going to be different. So I offer you this example that was taken from, I think I took this from Wikipedia, but I do say that you need to go into Wikipedia and really examine the sources that are adding to the page. But so I'm not Wikipedia. I'm sorry, the encyclopedia. Sorry. Um, so I recant. I got this from the encyclopedia. Um, this inside versus outside. An outsider looking at Korean dance might say that there are 6 different forms. They are listed, but an insider, the native, the indigenous person, might say that there are only these 4 types. Their analyzation of the thing is a little different in that it is their natural thing. We are looking at religious dances. We looked at religious dances. So we're looking at these vernacular dances. We're going to step into court dance, and then we'll begin to see the performance and how we're preparing to look at how things change when it gets into the performance space. So with that, I want you to begin to um, understand these differences between social dance forms and performance dance forms. So right now we're looking at these social dance forms. They're often improvised, going back to this experience of turning on the radio. Wherever you are in the world, if you turned on the radio, you would start moving when you felt ready to move. You would change dance movements when you felt ready to move. That is what dancers refer to and musicians refer to as improvisation. It's the way that you're naturally moving. It's lacking a set plan that you came into the space with prior to. It can be, here's that characteristic again, anyone can participate, everyone has access to it. It's learned through observation. You learn these dances by watching other people do them. Another example, TikTok. You're watching the videos, you're learning to do it. You're learning vernacular dance forms. Um, they're not copyrighted. It's not owned by someone. Someone can't sue you if you learn to dance on TikTok and posted it somewhere else. No one can sue you and say they own that dance. They're often done for pleasure. So you're in your own space, you're dancing. This lends to what some of you mentioned in your virtual introductions, this idea of self-expression. You're just it's about yourself, right? If other people are privy to it, then they're privy to it, but it's not the major function. versus a performance when the whole idea of a performance is for someone to sit down or lay down and watch you do the thing. So in a performance, there's a clear separation between the person doing the thing and the person watching the thing. Performance techniques often require some type of training. So you are going to someone that holds the keys and says, you're doing it right, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it, you need to do this a little more. They are encouraging repetition. There's a structure for which you learn the thing. And they make use of choreography, which means a sequence of planned dance movements. Improvised dance versus choreographed dance. Most often in our vernacular space, we're moving with this improvisation. You're making it up as you go along. It's unplanned movement. It's initiated by internal impulses or external impulses. You're looking at other people, you're listening to the music. This is the way that you dance in your normal life, your regular life off the stage. Choreographed dance, is a planned sequence of movement. It's commonly used in a performance world. So this slide is to offer and remind you that dance is dance. There are multiple ways to approach dance. There's the performance dance world and there's the natural dance world. Most of us, a good number of us, have dance experience. Some of us have performance dance experience, but I believe that most of us in this class have dance experience. And I want you to use that as your foundation as you continue to navigate this class, because here's the thing. Adrian Kapler, who is a dance anthropologist and ethnographist, I don't think that that's the right word. She does ethnography. Okay. Reminds us that each society has its own criteria for evaluating its art forms. This is why we're taking the case study approach and looking at dances specifically, looking at a form, because we want to understand the value. Remember, think about that culture, the definition of culture. We want to understand the value and beliefs of that community so that we can better understand their dance form. Why is that? That is because if we always look at the dances through the lens of the Western performative dance world, we shut ourselves off to understanding what's going on. We also assess the dance based on rules that don't necessarily apply. So that dance can look like it's failing. It can look not as wonderful if we think about it, if we are trying to look at it through the lens of modern dance only, the genre of modern dance only, or the lens of performative dance. So we want to look at everything and not evaluate it, but observe it and record it based on the values of that system. This leads us into tat number 8. This is a group tat. At this point, you should have a confirmed by me group, and you are going to first work individually and then come together. So in your individual work, you are going to watch Onye Ozuzu's TED Talk. Think about how her TED Talk relates to the Deidre Scalar reading, 5 Premises. Also, what are your takeaways from Onye's TED Talk? So you want to have that. And you also want to have an option of which dance form you would like to research. So after you've done your individual work, you bring that to your group. In your group, you share out your ideas and you combine your ideas. You structure your ideas into one paragraph. That paragraph notes the connections to the Scalar reading and your takeaways, your group's takeaways. And the second thing that you're going to do is you're going to share with me the dance form that your group would like to research. That dance form is chosen from when you look at tab number 8, the options are given. If there's a dance form that is not listed, please let me know ahead of time and I will let you know if that dance form is okay. I will give you an okay that that is okay. Um, yeah, I'll give you an okay. This is a group assignment, once again, so only one person from your confirmed group needs to submit the assignment. When you meet together, you want to decide who that group member is going to be. I suggest that the group members take turns submitting because this is only one portion of the assignment that you're doing. So I suggest that over the process, you take turns submitting the assignment. Once one person submits it, let everyone know that you submitted it. No one else needs to post anything to the assignment, only one person. Um, Here's the thing. I am very clear that we are in a pandemic. I am also very clear that working with people is something that will always happen in life. So our job as professors are to prepare you to be productive citizens of the world. Prior to the pandemic, in the dance world, in the world of music, and in business, we were having virtual meetings, making products, making dance choreographies, making music, building software, and everything else, and anything that you can think of in the virtual world prior to the pandemic. Now that we are in this pandemic, it is happening more often. So, if nothing else, I want you to view this experience of working in a group in the virtual world as preparation for what you're going to have to do in the real world because it is what is happening in the real world. Even if even when the pandemic goes away and we go back to air quote the regular way, the normal way of life, virtual meetings will still be here. So I want you to think of this as practice. Everything in this class is practice for something coming up, something in your future. If you need navigation, if you need me to assist you in planning this out, please, as a group, let me know. Some ways that you can meet are via text message. You can meet in Google Chats. You can use Google Docs. You can have a video call on Google Duo or FaceTime or whatever other thing that you can think of. How you choose to meet is upon you. If you are having a struggle meeting, let me know and we can come together and figure something out. I hope that this all makes sense. Please let me know via the Canvas app email if it does not, and have a wonderful, blessed day.